Welcome back to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Ewell. Today, we're going to be talking about a little bit different subject. So, me and my wife were on vacation and my family in Cabo, and I really want to talk about the right way to ask for referrals without sending desperate. Now, the context of this is going to be a little bit about a story, and then that story is going to go into how to actually ask for referrals the right way. And, this was based off an experience that we had going on a timeshare presentation. And, if you've ever been on one of those, you guys, kind of all know what that's about. So, I'm not gonna, bore you with that. But, as we were on vacation, and mind you, we already have, two timeshares, so we don't necessarily need another one. But my kids wanted to do some activities, and it just kind of happened. I don't even know why we did it, to be honest with you, other than we just did it. So, obviously, we got invited to the presentation. You get free breakfast, and it's basically they're like, hey, it's 75 minutes. But anyways, as we, kind of went on this presentation, we get obviously the sales guy. And, right away as we sat down, they're like, hey, how much time you got? At this point, it's like 7:40. And they're like, do you have anything coming up? And I'm like, yeah, I got a coaching call at 10. And, it's 2.5 hours almost. So they're like, well, do you have to be on it? And I said, yes, I have to be on it. And then they came back and said, well, what time is your call from? And I said, my call's at 10, like I told you, after 9 and before 11. And, do you understand that what 10 o'clock is? And as we did this, we eventually got our guy, he kind of gave us the whole pitch at breakfast. We're like, look, just let us know, like, whatever this is that you want to present us, like, cool, pitch it to us. He kind of like pitches it to us, but he keeps kind of like, he keeps almost like, if you think about like closing, right? He keeps kind of assuming the close and saying little key things like, oh, so, if you were to go on vacation, here's what you do. And I'm like, no, that's, what do you mean by that? I was kind of like slowing him down from saying that. But as soon as he kind of realized we weren't going to buy, his, attitude completely changed and really just shifted away from, he was a pretty nice guy the whole time, but like you could just tell he did like a 180-degree shift in about 2 seconds. And he's like, everything's Gucci, and just starts saying all this stuff. But you could tell he got really visibly annoyed, which I'm cool with. But I was just basically like, look, we're not buying anything today. We're not buying anything, period. And so whatever you need to do, just, finish it out and we'll go on about our way. We appreciate your time. We ain't buying anything. And, he kind of continued to get annoyed, but he's like, okay, fine. And so he goes and grabs a piece of paper, kind of throws it in front of us. And he's like, well, at least give me 5 names or 5 referrals. And, me and my wife are kind of like, dude, for what? Like, we ain't referring anybody to you if you're going to act like this. And not only that, we haven't really had we had a decent experience up until about 4 or 5 minutes ago, and you realized we weren't buying, and then you kind of got an attitude. But this was the really thing that, me and my wife kind of looked at each other like, dude, is this guy crazy? Like, we're not referring our worst enemy to you, let alone our friends and family. And here's the thing is, if you haven't helped someone, and here's kind of the key lesson of all this, if somebody hasn't given you a great experience, like, you're not going to refer people. And not only that, but, if you haven't helped me get a result or something I wanted, like, you haven't earned the right to ask for a referral, in the first place. So, like, we're not going to give you one. And what was kind of crazy is like it kind of came across as very desperate, very transactional. Like, well, if you're not going to buy from me, at least, give me this. And I'm like, dude, we ain't giving you that. So like, we're just going to take off. And what's crazy is like, we started to walk out of there. He kind of walked like 10 feet in front of us. He's like, yeah, just keep going this way and you'll go down this way. And basically the guy wasn't going to walk us out of there. And so we were actually glad that we didn't buy, not that we were really going to anyways, but it just kind of shows the true colors of, these timeshare presentations and, if you end up not buying. But this got me to kind of think about, okay, well, when is the right time to ask? When is not the right time to ask for a referral? And that's kind of the lesson I want to get into today. So, here's the times not to ask for referrals. Like, when you're giving people a bunch of information and you're not really helping them, you're just kind of overwhelming them. Don't ask them for a referral. The other time is, if somebody hasn't got results or you're not sure if they've had a good experience, like don't ask them for referrals, because here's what I'll say is, we used to do this in the fitness industry a lot, especially in box gyms. We'd say, hey, like, do you have any friends that want to sign up? But like, I haven't really got them results yet. Maybe they had a good experience on the tour. They signed up, but at the end of the day, the type of person they're going to refer me is going to be much different than the type of person. If I had a great experience, I was like, dude, this is the best experience I've ever had. That would be different. But like when you ask for people to give you referrals before they've gotten results, or before they've had a great experience, the quality of person is not going to be who you're looking for. And then, asking when you're unsure, if that person's even bought in. So, referrals should be kind of a natural byproduct of a transaction, not, a sales tactic or just another way to hit quota. Okay. And so I want to get into really the types of referrals. So number one, this is kind of the lower level, but it's like they've just signed up with you. They haven't really gotten results. So you kind of present, hey, would you like to refer one of your friends? Okay. That's kind of the lowest level of referral. The second is, nowadays we have social media. So maybe I posted about my client who maybe made money, lost weight, and, but they got a result. And I may say, like, a friend may see that and be like, they reach out to me and actually are like, hey, I just saw my friend get these results. I'd love to find out more about your program. That's a really good quality lead. And then really the best type of lead is, your client got amazing results working with you and they set up a three-way introduction. This is really the best type of referral you can get, because they're introducing you. They know they've gotten a result and they've obviously talked to their friend enough to be like, yeah, go ahead, set us up in a three-way conversation. That's really your best type of referral. So not all referrals are created equally. And not only that, but the level of referrals is very different. So number one, you're just asking like, hey, do you have any friends that, you may want to refer? Number two is they see some type of, some type of result on social media. They reach out to you. And then number three, obviously, is that three-way introduction. That's really your best type. So let's talk about, don't ask your clients for referrals before they've actually gotten some type of tangible result. Otherwise, this is going to sound very desperate, very inauthentic, sort of like, this timeshare guy. But I will tell you this, the prime time to ask for referrals is really going to be around these three times. So number one, after some type of breakthrough result, maybe they've lost their first 10 pounds. Maybe they've increased energy. Maybe they just got a new client. They've reduced pain, something, or they've had some type of mental shift after a milestone. Maybe they finished, phase 1, phase 2 of their program. Maybe they hit a goal, or maybe you even featured them as client of the month. Okay. This is a great time. And then also maybe a time when, a client maybe, shares something in text message, or maybe they shared something in DMs. Maybe it's a review call and they're like, man, this really changed my life. I finally feel like myself again. But there's kind of a verbal cue they give you. Those are all great times. Like, hey, Mrs. Jones, like knowing that like this has changed your life. Do you have any friends you think would want to have this same exact result you've gotten in our program? Typically, like that's a great time to ask people for referrals because they've hit kind of a milestone or result. And when you ask people when they've gotten results, it's much different type of referral than anywhere else. So I want to kind of recap a couple things. So ask smarter to earn the referrals. So don't ask too early. Results always come first. Know when not to ask. So no results. Anytime you've given people information overload, there's very little trust, kind of like our timeshare guy. And then, the best times are used when they have breakthrough, they have wins, they have praises, things like that. That's your trigger. And then we want to aim for that three-way introduction. A good thing to do is like, hey, if you do have somebody, I'd love for you to set up a three-way introduction, introduce me to your friend. And that way, it's a great way to have that natural conversation. But these are the ways that you want to ask for referrals. And also, hey, I love going on these timeshare presentations because it really kind of helps me understand, the sales process. It helps me understand how these guys, do things, because it also helps me get better at what I do. And then I'm like, man, if I was a business owner, and I had one of these programs, like I would hate for a client to feel like this at the end of a presentation, kind of feel like they're dirt if they don't buy. And I would want to change that. And so that really helps me kind of change up my approach. But don't be the guy in the timeshare presentation where all they care about is making the sale. At the end of the day, it's about serving, not about selling. Let me help serve you on ways that you can actually go on vacation, save money. Let me actually serve you on ways that we can actually help your friends and family have a great experience like you have. Those are the powerful things that we can work on together. And that's what really making a habit-based business is all about. It's about a system of habits to give people a great experience and to offer you the ability to provide that experience for people. So if you want to learn more about how we do this inside of our program, habit-based business, habit-based marketing, to help you grow and consistently get better qualified leads, you can do two things. I actually created a PDF on this exact same thing. You could send me a message on Facebook or Instagram at Jesse Ewell, and you can just say DM leads. I'll get you the PDF on this. If you want to email me, jesse@habitbasedlifestyle.com, I'm more than happy to get you the PDF. If you guys are a longtime listener, thank you so much for being on here, and I hope you guys have a great day.